Things just got very interesting for your Buffalo Bills. After they fell in Week 12 to the Texans and moved to 7-4, things got kind of crowded in the AFC playoff picture with some names in the hunt that could easily be in the postseason once it is all settled up. You're watching the Bills Breakdown by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, and we're going to discuss where the Bills are at in terms of playoff seeding and then take a look at where things are happening this week in terms of what's being affected, right? Who's going to be in the playoff picture after the Week 13? Who's going to be out of it because it could all change. For now, let's just look at the AFC playoff picture as it stands after Week 12. Heading into the Thanksgiving matchups, you got the Patriots there atop the AFC at 10-2, and they kind of have a stranglehold on the AFC East right now. You have the Denver Broncos at 9-2, the Indianapolis Colts at 8-3, and then the Baltimore Ravens recently took the lead in the AFC North at 6-5. They've won 5 straight. Then in the wild card, you have the LA Chargers at 7-4. They've been playing pretty solid ball and been dealing with a bunch of injuries all season. The Jaguars in year one of Liam Cohen are 7-4 as well, but I don't know how impressed I am by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They do have a win over the Chiefs, though, as do your Buffalo Bills as 7-4 at the 7 seed right now. But then hot on their tails are the 6-5 Pittsburgh Steelers, the 6-5 Houston Texans, and the 6-5 Kansas City Chiefs. And even there, the 4-7 Miami Dolphins, yeah, they have a very favorable schedule the rest of the way. As far as your Buffalo Bills go, though, NFL.com, this doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, but it is going down with each loss, right? The NFL.com with their playoff predictor, their playoff chance percentages and all that stuff, they dropped the Bills' playoff odds from 92% to 85%. So still very likely that the Bills end up in the postseason here, but each game they lose makes that chance and those odds go down and down. So what do the Bills have to do to rectify this? What do the Bills have to do to make sure that they are in the playoff picture? Well, they do control their own destiny, and they do have one more matchup in the division with the leader, the New England Patriots. They match up in Week 15, and the reason that I bring this up as Buffalo's reign over the AFC East is pretty much over, it could end up turning back in the Bills' favor with some crazy stuff going on in the last 5 weeks of the season. The Patriots have a couple of injuries on their block right now that could end up affecting that thing and could end up affecting the Week 15 matchup with Buffalo. They end up having major injuries to the left side of their offensive line. That's been keeping Drake May pretty well protected all season long. Their 4th overall pick in April's draft, Will Campbell at the left tackle spot, went down with an MCL sprain, and he is going to be out multiple weeks here. There's even a chance that he heads to injured reserve as well and might only be back for the postseason. Their left guard, Jared Wilson, he has a high ankle sprain, and that is a multi-week injury as well. So with only 2 weeks to go until this matchup with Buffalo, I don't know how likely it is that we see the starting left side of the offensive line protecting Drake May out there. And if that's not the case and Will Campbell is not ready to go, which I think is even more likely than Jared Wilson not being ready to go, is they have their probably most hated, for lack of a better word, in terms of Pats fans, backup left tackle that they could possibly employ, and that's Vidarian Lowe. I was talking to Brett Alper, host of the Patriots Today here at Chat Sports, and he was saying, I mean, anything you want an offensive lineman to do, Vidarian Lowe does the opposite. Can't protect, he lets up a lot of sacks. Can't play clean, he draws a lot of penalties. And which overall is not the best option to have out there at left tackle. So the Bills can go out there and just take advantage of these injuries for the Pats. Because, look, the Bills have been hurt by injury all season long. How about some of their opponents get some of that taste of medicine there, and the Bills can take care of business against that Patriots offensive line that's got a couple of injuries at this time. Now, that's later down the line. That's a couple of weeks from now. It's Week 15. We're in Week 13 right now. What do we have to worry about right now, this week? Well, for starters, the Bills play the Steelers this week. Come on. This is one of the biggest matchups the rest of the season for Buffalo with how their schedule looks out, and especially when you consider the Steelers coming into this game at 6-5. They could take the Bills' playoff spot if they get this win at home. I think in terms of Buffalo and Pittsburgh, this is a must-win game for both of these teams. The Bills come in as a 4.5-point favorite, but I don't know if I would agree with that line at this point. I mean, the Steelers aren't necessarily the best team in the league, but they have big wins over the Colts. They've beaten the Patriots, and they're at home in this one playing desperation football with Aaron Rodgers coming back into the equation. So I think I can see this one being very close. I could even see the Steelers winning it. The Bills got to go out there and take care of business. Now, who else is in the mix like we just talked about in the AFC playoff picture? Well, the Ravens, they're at 6-5. They lead their division right now, so they control their own destiny at this point, kind of like Buffalo. The Chargers, 7-4. They got a game this week, a big-time matchup. in the division. The Jags have a divisional matchup. The Texans have a divisional matchup. And the Chiefs play a pretty tough game on Thanksgiving as well. But the Ravens, they start on Thanksgiving, so we'll start with them. They come into a game against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 13 as 7-point favorites. But their opponent, the Cincinnati Bengals, has a big-time player coming back to the lineup. No, and it's not Jamar Chase, who spit on Jalen Ramsey 2 weeks ago, coming back from suspension. That is happening. But Joe Burrow looks to be making his return for the Cincinnati Bengals in this game. And, I mean, look, the Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs or anything like that, but I'm sure Joe Burrow wants to go out there and beat Lamar Jackson in this game, or at least wants to keep it close. This is going to be a fun one. The nightcap of the Thanksgiving slate, and I think there's going to be fireworks in this game. We will definitely keep our eyes peeled on this one. We'll also all be watching Chiefs at Cowboys on Thanksgiving as well. I think this game could end up actually setting an NFL regular season viewership record when it comes to the Cowboys at 5-5-1, the Chiefs at 6-5. Both of these teams kind of in desperation mode as well and starting to play their best football as the season gets into his home stretch. I mean, Mahomes on Thanksgiving, we've never seen it before. It's going to be a very, very fun game to watch, but I know we'll all be rooting for the Cowboys in Buffalo here to get a win over Mahomes. So he's further down the line and furthers his chances of missing the postseason for the first time in his career. We got a couple more games to discuss in just a moment, but first, holiday season is just around the corner. You don't want to be without a gift to give to a family member or a friend, and what better gift to give than a Josh Allen jersey? You can get them all at this link right here, chatsports.com/Josh Allen to get yours today. They got sizes, they got colors available. Sometimes they're throwing free shipping. Sometimes they're throwing deals and sales on these jerseys, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that, but don't wait too long. Get your Josh Allen jerseys today, chatsports.com/Josh Allen. That link is in the comment section and description of today's video. Alrighty here. AFC South matchups, the Colts and the Texans. The Colts coming off a loss this past week, and that's something to my eye to where I think, could the Indianapolis Colts kind of be on the downturn here? Could this kind of be the turning point of their season? They started so hot. They were 7-0 or whatever. They have not been great over the last month. And teams are kind of starting to figure out what the Colts like to do. They're selling out for the run, making Daniel Jones make decisions, putting pressure on him. I think the Houston Texans are going to go out there and do that this week, which means bad news for the Bills. Like the Texans will then jump in over the Bills. If Houston wins and the Bills lose, like, sayonara. Bills are getting jumped, and they're now in the hunt graphic instead of in the postseason. So I'll be rooting for the Colts big time in this one at home. Also, I mean, I know this might be wishful thinking, but I'll be rooting for the Titans big time as well this week in the AFC South. They come in as 6.5-point dogs at home. To be fair, they did just play a pretty solid outing at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Ended up covering a big spread in that game, and it wasn't necessarily close throughout, but that Titans team showed a lot of fight. So hopefully they can show a lot of fight in a divisional matchup against the Jaguars, who have been winning a lot of these games really close, kind of by the skin of their teeth. They haven't been really winning because of their quarterback play. It's been because of creating turnovers, their defense. Like, Jacksonville tried to lose the game to the Arizona Cardinals in Week 12. So I think this is a sneaky spot where we could see the second Titans win of the 2025 NFL season against a team in the Jaguars that is trying to make the postseason. Last one we'll talk about on today's show. I don't even know how much I can really say about this game. The Raiders are in one of the worst spots I've ever seen in all of football, like ever. And the Chargers, like, they're in a spot where, yeah, they're dealing with a bunch of injuries, but they still got Justin Herbert. They still got Jim Harbaugh. They still got a solid defense. Like, they're going to be fine. And in this game, they're 10-point favorites. Like, I don't see the Raiders putting up much of a fight here. They're pulling scapegoats left and right. They're blaming everybody but Geno and Pete, and things are just not in a good spot if you're a Las Vegas Raiders fan. So I expect the Chargers to kind of take care of business here and get their 8th win and keep themselves locked in to the playoff race. With that being said, Bills still control their destiny. The Bills win out there in the postseason. I'd even argue the Bills lose one more game. Like, they're still going to be in the postseason if they go out there, win 11, 12 games. Like, they should be okay, but I think we're going to learn a lot more after this Week 13 game with a lot of big, high-stakes matchups between some AFC foes. With that being said, drop your Week 13 predictions. All the games that we talked about, the Bills game as well. Drop your predictions for me in the comment section. Who wins, who loses, by how much, and who's in the postseason picture when it's all said and done after Week 13. That will do it for today's show. Give me a follow over on Twitter. We can talk more about it at Tyler J. Smith. 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Bills videos all season long. You're going to find the best coverage right here at the Bills Breakdown. We'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, let's go, Buffalo.